Welcome back to Uncaged Chaos. I'm Andi, certified life coach, and here we talk about the messy, crazy parts of healing that nobody really talks about. Today, I have a special guest with me, one of my really good friends, Denis, and we're going to be talking about the paradox of being human. Welcome, Denis.
Hey, great to be here.
Thank you for being here. I'm super excited. It's great. It's been a crazy journey for both of us over this last year of finding that balance and allowing, because I think so many times, especially as adults in this society, it is frowned upon to be able to actually feel those harder emotions. Yeah. And allowing ourselves to be able to feel those harder emotions. Have you come across times where you've kind of tried to suppress those harder emotions?
Not as much recently because of the work I've done. And I will say that, especially for somebody who maybe is also very logical thinking, as I've been most of my life, that it is so easy to suppress those emotions by being busy, but not being like fulfilled in that action that you're taking, because you're just trying to avoid those moments. So yeah, for me, it's been really nice to just be able to feel those emotions and not be struggling with allowing that to happen. Mm-hmm. One of my biggest struggles before was always that when I was starting to feel emotions and there were other people around me, if they wanted to support me, I would sometimes shut down pretty quickly because they would give me permission by saying things out loud that would, be in kind gesture, but they would say things like, it's okay to cry. And then instantly I would just stop, because in my past I would have activations that would just instantly happen. And I had effectively no control over those. And now I've gotten better at it and shared with friends of like, hey, this is how you can support me. If I'm feeling emotional, just let me feel emotional. Like, you don't have to say anything, right? And it'll work. Yeah. Like, it'll just be there for me. And so I think it was a twofold thing. It was building in awareness things of like, hey, they're being supportive, it's okay, as well as letting them know like, hey, these words don't work well for me, and I'm not telling you to stop using them, but I am going to do my best to overcome them. But in the meantime, if you use different words or lack thereof, right, it might be better for me.
Was there anything that stands out when you're figuring out your awareness on how to actually like recognize what you needed versus kind of going into your default state?
Is there anything I recognized while going through that?
Yeah.
I would say, recognizing how fast our memories come back on either activations, where most people call those triggers. Mm-hmm. Like whatever your triggers are, like being able to catch that shortly after. Like, it still happened. Like, I remember the last time it really happened where somebody said it's okay to cry and I just instantly stopped. Like, that was a huge wake up call that I was able to notice it. So that way, the next time I told myself, I was like, hey, if I notice it that quickly, I wonder if next time I can avoid having that happen. So that way I can allow myself to continue those emotions. And so I think just being kind to myself of knowing that, look, I'm a very logical person. Emotions don't come easy to me. And it doesn't mean I can't work to get better at it. Right. While also knowing that my strong suit isn't in that area. So usually that also comes with informing other people, saying, hey, like, this is a little bit more challenging for me, and if it's easy for you, that's great. While also at the same time, I would love that space to be able to do this, because now I can also have a lot more empathy for other people who maybe aren't as logic thinking as I am, to give them more space when it comes to them figuring those things out, knowing that they're better at other things than I am.
Right. Again, paradoxal.
It's
such a crazy thing of how this world and how we operate is very contradictory to itself.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times too, it's so hard for people as well, including myself at one point, to be like, this is how I think in certain ways. It's wild that other people aren't thinking this as well, or thinking this way too. But also, I'd never had all of their life living up to that moment to have experience to be who they are. And so now understanding that they can be something completely different from me, and that does not make them wrong. That does not say that my way of seeing the world is better or anything more than just it's a different way of seeing it. And that I actually think it's incredible for the people who themselves can work on their emotions so fast. And I was like, man, that's fascinating to me. And I've talked to somebody recently of like, that's also just as much as somebody can be exclusively logical and no emotions. Somebody who's fully emotional with no logic can also be not a great thing, right? Exactly. So like, how does that person get a little bit closer to that center, and how do I get closer to that center? Because it generally is going to be a better place. I'm not going to be the best at emotions while also knowing I am 10 times further than I was even a year ago.
Yeah. Do you think allowing yourself that compassion in realizing that you have come so far, even though you're not where you want to be, has helped in that paradox of being able to feel contradictory emotions as well?
Yes. Obviously giving yourself kindness, and that's pretty tough to do sometimes because we like to be the hardest critic for ourselves. And I've also, and I think it was twofold too, because I stopped focusing so much on like other people's opinions for the last several years. And I've noticed that not that I don't care what other people think, it's more of they aren't living that life that I've experienced thus far. So they don't understand sometimes what I'm experiencing or going through. And that's okay.
Right.
And so I think that also gives me that permission to be like, I actually do have the information. So I actually get to be the most kind to myself because I understand the struggles I went through in certain parts of my life, or the traumas that I've had, whether they were big or small, that have actually impacted me. And so I actually do get to give that kindness for me in that respect. And we could talk about this in the future, and we talked about this too, where it's I also have this crazy like idea of with time and everything, where I've been able to have connections between my younger self and my future selves of being able to support me. And so I think that also kind of played a huge part in it as well, because during my last year of struggling, I've actually been looking to the future of that version of me that I would like to have been. And I have several times over felt like that version of me actually came back and supported me in different ways to help me heal. And like who I am today, I think is that version that in this moment that we're talking, I can think about going back to those moments where I was asking for help and it was me who's going and helping him. So I have more compassion, which means that version of me that's becoming who I am today, which is starting to get a little wild, is now building that compassion because of where I'm at today.
Right. It kind of goes into that quote that you kind of hear floating through social media of you're becoming the safe person that you needed when you were a kid.
Yeah, like you're your own hero.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's truth to that, because I had that moment myself as well of realizing I'm like, I'm now the person that I needed when I was younger.
Yeah. To
where I can now have compassion on not knowing the things I know now that I needed to know then. Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. And it gets a little out there in some ways, but also like it's what I felt in my journey to be so true. And what's funny is it's a little contradicting for me because I'm also super into science and like how the world works and the universe works, and that breaks it a little bit.
Right.
So having to be thinking about those things and also understanding like that's contradicting to like how I see science and how I see the universe, to this thing that is a little bit more woo-woo in a way.
Right.
And I'm like, that's cool. I can have both of those thoughts at the same time now.
Again, paradox. It's so wild how our brains try to compartmentalize so much, but really our entire being and our entire universe is literally a paradox.
Yeah.
That we just try to compartmentalize because our tiny human brains are like, we can't focus on too many things at once.
Yeah, and I think we always want to fill in the answers to the easiest solution, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
And also, I think about like my move, right? I want community, but I also love my house. Right. And I'm like, I want both things to be true. And I, at the moment, am having those things because I am living in this house, but then I am going to move somewhere else. So I will eventually actually experience both things, just not at the same time.
Right.
Which is how a lot of contradiction works, is that you can't have both, but that doesn't mean you can't experience both.
Yeah.
You just can't have them at the same time. And that's okay.
It's true.
And there's no rules saying that if you make up your mind on one thing, that you can't change it later. Like you're the ruler of your own mind. So like if you want to go and, like for example, like for me, I'm going to move into this community. If I go there and I don't love it, I can just move.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing stopping me from being able to change my mind again and being like, oh, actually I didn't like that. Maybe I thought I did. And now I'm in a different place.
The beauty of free will.
Yeah.
There's nobody here to tell you what to do, but there's also nobody here to tell you what not to do.
That's a little dangerous.
But so much fun.
Yes.
Before we end, I would like to ask, what is the biggest lesson you've learned over this last year?
Biggest lesson that I've learned is that you don't have to be right to win in what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that's a really important thing for myself to hear, because especially being in the logical space that I've always been in most of my life, and how I think and react to a lot of stuff, that I could be right about something, but that doesn't mean it's gonna be the best solution for what I'm trying to achieve. And so I think if anybody's listening and wants to figure out something that hasn't been working and try to get it to work, just think about, what are you trying to be right about, and what are you trying to win in, right? Like in anything in your life, right? If you're trying to be happier in your career, or you want to move, or you want to do anything in your life, like what are you trying to be right about in those situations, that maybe if you just let go of that control, kind of what we were talking about earlier,
right,
like maybe that can be a solution for you too.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Well, this is Uncaged Chaos, where we get messy, we get creative, and being human is just a fucking paradox.